A strange stillness settles across the war. Not anticipation, not strategy, something heavier. It begins when the first Union regiments aboard a Venator finally understand the starmap. A single projection fills the command deck. Thousands of worlds scattered across sectors so vast they fold into one another like a map drawn for giants. A lieutenant steps closer, hat in hand, breath thin. "General," he murmurs, "surely we are not meant to march to every one of these." No one answers. Behind him, entire companies fall silent. Men who once crossed fields at the double quick now anchored in place by a vision of infinity. Some whisper prayers. Others simply stare. Across the galaxy, Confederate troops gather around an astrogation console they do not trust. The map blooms outward, suns layered across impossible distances. Light washes over faces lined with caution. A captain presses his hand to the projection as though testing its warmth. These stars. Everyone a world? A Neimoidian technician chirps yes. Heads bow. A few speak softly to steady their nerves. One officer steps back as if the map itself might swallow him. Neither army advances. The Union refuses to disembark until someone explains how far a sector truly is. The Confederates wait for reassurance that hyperspace will not unmake them. How large is this war? No commander can answer. The engines cool. The fleets drift. For the first time since their arrival, the armies from another century understand what they've been thrown into. A galaxy so vast it silences them. A battlefield that dwarfs every war they have ever known. Chaos gathers quietly around Grievous. Confederate infantry stand in uneasy formation before him, muskets tucked under their arms like toys they no longer trust. Grievous lifts one, rotating it with clinical disgust. "One projectile at a time," he mutters. "A minute to reload. No energy core. No efficiency." He looks up. No mercy. A private straightens. "Sir, we can fire 2 volleys a minute on a good day." Grievous stares. 2 volleys. A minute. He gestures sharply. "Demonstrate." They form a line. Powder, ramrods, trembling hands. The volley cracks. Half miss. A quarter misfire. One explodes outright. Smoke rolls across the deck. Someone prays. Grievous closes his eyes. "This is chaos!" A sergeant attempts rescue. "With discipline, sir! A bayonet charge!" "You intend to attach knives to these failures," Grievous says, "and run toward enemy fire." He drags a claw down his helm. Hours pass. Muskets jam. Powder spills. Bayonets clatter. Grievous watches it all, drowning in a weariness deeper than fury. By dusk, a private wipes sweat from his brow. "General, how'd we do?" Grievous surveys the debris, the scorch marks, the soldier who shot a ceiling vent. "You survived," he says quietly. A beat. That is the miracle. The Venator gleams in orbit, sleek, balanced, built for precision. Inside it, nothing is precise. Union officers fan out across the bridge, examining consoles like relics from a rival church. "These levers ain't where they ought to be," the first officer declares. Navigation teams rearrange panels to resemble riverboats. A helmsman refuses to sit while steering. Communications officers recoil from holograms. "It's talkin' without wires," one whispers. Below deck, sailors roll field cannon across the hangar, arguing angles. A test shot bounces, dents a starfighter, and embeds itself in a bulkhead. They cheer. On the bridge, someone forces a turbo laser control and fires a broadside into empty space. Officers crash to the floor. "I was only testing the recoil," the gunner says, baffled. Republic technicians look on in despair. "I survived the malevolence," one mutters. "This is worse." A Union ensign pats his shoulder. "She's a fine vessel, a real ocean of the stars." It's not an ocean, but she sails. In the gunnery bay, sailors attempt to load a field piece into a turbolift. The lift refuses. Debate erupts. "Reckon the ship don't want to go to war today?" By nightfall, the vessel groans under the strain. Pipes rupture. A starfighter slips from its mooring. On the observation deck, officers gaze proudly at the stars. "We have mastered this ship," their leader says. Behind him, something explodes. Nobody turns. The council chamber is quiet in a way Jedi rarely allow. Not peaceful, not meditative, The silence of minds overwhelmed. Data pads lie open, filled with political contradictions that refuse to align. Obi-Wan turns a page. There are 12 causes for this war, he says. Each contradicts the others. Some contradict themselves. Kit Fisto scrolls endlessly. This faction calls itself Unionist, he mutters, but is not aligned with the Union unless it is. Obi-Wan reads 5 lines, hands the pad back. That appears to be correct. Yoda stares at a chart of border state alignments, ears drooping. Drawn in circles, the arguments are. Plo Koon closes a thick compilation of congressional records. They debated this for decades, then debated the debates. Hours pass. Contradictions multiply. Obi-Wan rubs his eyes. I have mediated ancient feuds. I have confronted Sith Lords, but this has footnotes longer than treaties. Kit freezes on another passage. These two sides argue the same point, but insist they disagree. Obi-Wan looks out over Coruscant. Perhaps the Force did not intend for anyone to understand this. Yoda sighs. Punishment, perhaps? Dawn spills across the Separatist motor pool. Rows of speeder bikes stand ready. They do not remain ready. Confederate cavalrymen approach them like unfamiliar livestock, checking hull plating as though examining a horse's flank. Reins appear. Straps. Improvised tack. A lieutenant nods. Now she's proper rigged. A trooper mounts, ignites the bike. It rockets sideways, slams into a wall, and skids in a shower of sparks. He rises, dusts himself off. She's spirited. Then Nathan Bedford Forrest enters with King Philip, alive, majestic, deeply confused. He inspects a speeder. She's fast, he concedes, but she ain't Philip. A race is inevitable. A flag drops. Philip surges forward. The speeder spins in panicked circles. Philip wins easily. Forrest pats his horse. Machines lose heart when challenged. By midday, half the regiment races against half the hangar. The hangar loses every time. Dooku appears in the doorway, surveying the wreckage. General Forrest, he says wearily, please refrain from racing military equipment. Forrest nods solemnly. Yes, sir. Dooku leaves. Someone whispers, reckon we can race 2 of them at once? Tools appear. Engines warm. Chaos resumes. At a forward base, Union soldiers gather around crates, speaking in hushed tones. The subject is the Force. Or, as they have decided, something much simpler. Reckon it's just the Holy Spirit, a private declares. Only difference is, it throws people around. Nods follow. One man crosses himself. Across the yard, a Jedi levitates a crate. It settles gently. A corporal leans in. See? Chaplain. Fierce one. Another nods. Bet he blesses cannonballs. The Jedi senses something. He turns. They nearly kneel. Later, a hollow projection shows Jedi leaping through battle. Flaming swords of judgment, someone says. No, Pentecost fire. A third insists the Jedi fast before battle. A fourth proposes a Force prayer circle. By sundown, a doctrine forms. The Force is providence. The Jedi are battle chaplains. Lightsabers are divine implements. When a Jedi Master arrives at camp, the entire regiment rises. A man steps forward, hat to his chest. Sir, preacher, prophet, whichever title suits. We thank you for your service to the Lord's work. The Jedi considers correction, then abandons the effort entirely. He nods. They beam. The war room aboard the Invisible Hand is still. Gray uniforms line the table. Dooku stands at the head. Robert E. Lee studies the galactic map. Vast, shifting, unanchored. This galaxy, he says slowly, is a land without center. Dooku inclines his head. Few understand it. Lee gestures at the map. I fought where loyalty and soil meant something, but these worlds float. No home, no certainty. Dooku adjusts the projection. Borders ripple, systems shift. Order must be shaped, he says. Shaped by whom? Lee asks. By those who see clearly. Lee's gaze sharpens. Clarity varies. He steps closer. These peoples, these laws, they change like wind. How can a man judge righteousness when the ground moves beneath him? You seek certainty, Dooku replies. This war offers none. Then what guides it? Power. Lee absorbs the word. Power without creed is nothing. And duty without truth, Dooku answers, Is ceremony wearing armor? Silence settles. At last, Lee whispers, "I am not certain mankind was meant for this." "Very few are," Dooku says. Lee bows his head, not in surrender, but in recognition. The galaxy has shaken his certainty, and certainty was the one weapon he always trusted. A barren ridge, dust, wind. Shaak-Ti stands poised, calm. Stonewall Jackson plants himself opposite, Bible in one hand, saber in the other. They nod. They charge. One strike, one counter. Both fall. Reality resets. They rise. It happens again on fortress ramparts. Walls crack. Both die. Both return. Then in a swamp, water churns. A root snags Jackson. Both fall. Both rise. By the 6th duel, there are no introductions. By the 9th, they critique each other's form mid-swing. "Your footwork is wasteful," Shaak-Ti says. "Your guard lacks providence," Jackson answers. Both die. Both return. By the 12th, something like camaraderie forms. Two warriors trapped in a loop neither understands. They resurrect on their backs, staring at the sky. "How many more times?" Jackson asks. "Until the timeline grows tired," Shaak-Ti says. He grunts. "Reckon the timeline's got more patience than I do." They stand, dust themselves off, assume their stances. "You may begin," she says. "I was about to offer the same," he answers. They clash again. The universe looks away. Dropship doors open onto a wave of furnace heat. Union troops lean out, recoil, and cling to the shade. "This is ungodly," a private mutters. Then the Western regiments arrive, sun-scarred, unimpressed. One surveys the dunes. "Arizona," he says, and marches out. On the opposite ridge, Confederates see their first Geonosian. It chitters. Half the line staggers back. Someone prays. Someone drops a musket. "Devil!" echoes across the sand. No charge follows, just two armies refusing to approach the battlefield for different reasons: heat, theology, and common sense. The official report is brief. Engagement postponed. Planet unacceptable. The Senate rotunda fills with blue coats, gray coats, and one chancellor whose patience has evaporated. Palpatine begins. "Gentlemen, today we..." He stops as Robert E. Lee stares across the chamber at Anakin Skywalker. Not suspicion. Recognition. Lee approaches. Anakin turns. Two soldiers with the same wound behind the eyes. "War leaves marks no doctor can see," Lee says. "It leaves them on everyone we fail," Anakin answers. They drift into quiet conversation. Duty, loss, burdens that linger. Delegates exchange nervous glances. "They're bonding," a Union major whispers. "I don't trust it," a Confederate officer replies. Palpatine tries again. "If we could please..." No one listens. Arguments erupt over representation, supply rations, horse transport, prayer order. A Neimoidian quietly leaves the chamber. Lee and Anakin continue comparing failures like veterans on a porch at dusk. Palpatine closes his eyes. He has toppled governments, manipulated armies, hidden Sith plots. But he cannot control a room full of 19th century officers arguing about wagons. No treaty is signed. The war continues. Lee and Anakin shake hands, two doomed men admiring each other's convictions. Palpatine dismisses the assembly and vows never to read another briefing about 1800s food ratios. This has been Canon Chaos.